Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Notepad and I'm your host Ibrahim Sani. Very recently, RinggitPlus, a comparison website, has actually done a survey on financial literacy in Malaysia. It was done in conjunction with Visa and the findings were a bit interesting. Some of them I will discuss with the CEO of RinggitPlus, Hann Liew. Han, thanks for dropping by. It's fantastic for us to actually learn more about the financial literacy ideas of Malaysia. What would be some of the key highlights from the survey?
No, thanks for having me, Ibrahim. For me, like this survey is quite interesting, right? This is the second year we've done it. We did it last year. We did it again this year, just to add a little bit more insight to what we found last year in terms of, hey, last year we found general literacy is low. This year we enhanced the questionnaire, we enhanced the survey to include a bit more reasoning of why we believe that might be the case. And we found a couple of interesting things, but the broad theme is, yes, financial literacy is still low, but are Malaysians in denial about it? I think that's the next kind of theme that we can discuss. Like, hey, we found also that while literacy is low, there are many Malaysians who may be in denial of that fact.
How do you know if Malaysians are in denial just by doing this survey?
Yeah, I mean, here's a classic example of how that might be, which is what we found was 69% of all respondents claim that I'm in control of my money. So they claim that, hey, finances, I'm in control. Yet, more than half, so 53% of Malaysians can't survive more than 3 months without a salary, right? So that's kind of a weird thing to say, right? Which is 70% of Malaysians say, I'm in control, yet more than half of them say, actually, if I didn't have my salary, I can't last more than 3 months.
That's a very interesting thing, right? So it's not about lying towards the answer to the survey. It's more of pacifying themselves, I suppose, into telling them that they are A-okay with their own cash, but the rest of the questionnaires do not line up with the first answer.
That's exactly right, and I mean yeah, you're right, exactly right. Which is another interesting one was 89% of people say that, hey, my EPF savings isn't enough for retirement. Yet more than 1/3 of the same people say, but I don't have a plan for retirement. So it's okay to say EPF is not enough, right? But then
but that means it's part of a plan.
Yeah, but what are you doing about it?
Yeah.
And then for you to say EPF not enough, but yet I'm not doing anything about it. I don't have a plan for retirement other than that. So for me, those kind of dissonant responses are very, very interesting to us. Like, which is, yes, literacy is low, but Malaysians seem to think that things are fine.
Generally speaking, when we talk about, of course, I'm going to deep dive into some of the questions that was asked, but I just still want to get the feel of the survey. Financial literacy survey generally tries to assess not just about the comprehension of an individual in managing the finances, but it's also trying to understand what is constricting them from having a good financial plan. Do you think that Malaysians, going for this survey, do you think that Malaysians are cognizant that there's a reason why they don't have enough money? Is it because their debt levels are too high? Is it because cost of living is too high? Well, what's the story there?
Yeah, I mean, so more questions that we asked was, are you able to save, right? And 43% of Malaysians say I spend more than I earn, or the same as. So then that's almost half of the people that say I spend beyond my means.
Okay.
Right. Then we ask the next question of, hey, why is that the case? Why aren't you able to save? So we go beyond that. So, I mean, just taking a step back, I mean, the literacy survey is meant to ask two main things, right? Which is, do you know things about financial concepts? So do you know what a credit card is? Do you know what a credit score is? Do you know what debt is? And then the other part is financial behavior, which is, are you saving, are you spending? So we ask these kind of questions around spending and saving, right?
Yeah.
So when we ask people who say, I'm not able to save because I spend more than I earn, or spend the same as what I earn, the responses range from all kinds of things, but the top two that gets responded, and more than 60% of people say these two reasons are the reasons why I can't save. The first is my debt burden is too high, meaning I've taken on too much debt. We didn't ask why they took on too much debt, but they've taken on too much debt. And the second reason is cost of living is too high. So those two are the key. The largest reasons why people claim or people respond to us that they aren't able to save.
Let's hold on to these two big reasons. Are there any other reasons why they can't save?
There are a couple more smaller ones, such as I don't have enough discipline. I spend too much with my daily lifestyle. I just have poor financial management. But the large two are too much debt and cost of living being too high.
Let's deep dive into this particular element here. if we ever listen to our politicians, you know, a lot of them will say that, you know, cost of living is too high, income is not enough, minimum wage is not enough, employers need to pay more, etc., etc. But do you think that that kind of perception lines up with those two big reasons that you have found out from this survey? I have taken too much debt, and the cost of living is too high.
I mean, there's all kinds of things swirling around, right? Like you mentioned, you know, everyone's saying, you know, incomes need to increase, cost of living is too high. I think in terms of minimum wage, just to address that point, what we found was a similar trend of a lack of savings behavior, lack of financial management across all income groups. So we stratified across all income groups. So it doesn't matter whether you were in the below 2,000 ringgit a month category or above 10,000 ringgit a month category. What we found was saving and spending behavior was largely similar, meaning this very, very similar amount of people were saying, I'm still spending more than what I earn, despite earning high incomes. Right?
Yeah, of course. So I mean, if you earn 10,000 ringgit and you spend 10,001 ringgit, you're still spending beyond your means.
Exactly. So the question of minimum wage may alleviate some of the burden down here, but it still doesn't solve, you know, a lot of the problems of Malaysians across the income spectrum, right? Like I'm earning above 10,000 ringgit, but I'm still spending more than I earn. So for me, that's not just an income problem.
All right. Okay, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss with Hann Liew of RinggitPlus on their financial literacy survey. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying on with us. I'm with Hann Liew of RinggitPlus. We're talking about the financial literacy survey. I just want to understand a little bit better about the collaboration with Visa. How does Visa come into the picture?
You know, when we did the survey last year, it was independently done by us, right? And we did a little scrappy survey. We managed to get some responses together. This year, you know, Visa came to us and said, hey, you know, we wanna do our part for
So
literacy.
Visa came to you guys.
Yeah. So and then we had a discussion and said, hey, you know, we do this literacy survey every year. We're going to do it this year. You know, do you want to partner up and do it, right? And they were thrilled, right? Visa International, because what they believe is you know, they're in financial services, so they believe, you know, having, you know, a higher financial literacy in a population or in a country is a good thing, and it's good for their business. But it's more than that. It's good for Malaysia, right, to have higher financial literacy. So they believe in a lot of the similar things that we do. And this year, you know, their kind of partnership allowed us to do two things. One, be a little bit more rigorous and scientific about how we approach the survey. So, you know, stratified sampling, making sure we have the whole of Malaysia covered, east to west, to north to south, making sure we have, you know, income groups stratified so we can get responses which are very more granular. But essentially, it was allowing us to reach a much broader audience and being a lot more scientific about the survey. Yeah.
So let's get into the scientific part of the survey. The first question, of course, up front and center is, do you have a credit card? From this answer, 30% says they don't have a credit card. Do you know why?
I mean, we didn't ask them, hey, why don't you have a credit card? But
maybe next year you should.
But what we said was, we asked the question of, have you applied for a credit card before, and have you not? And what we found was about a third of Malaysians said, I've applied, but I've gotten rejected. So it's not just a case of I don't know what a credit card is, but also that I wanted a credit card and I got rejected for it.
Hence, they will still answer, you know, I don't have a credit card.
Exactly.
But the response is also that, no, I believe in using cash only. I think that's also a core element, right?
Yep.
So they might have the choice to own a credit card, but they refuse to do so.
Yep.
You know, are they the Jolo likes where cash is king, or they just don't like the transaction?
Yeah, I think if you go down the survey, we also asked a question on, hey, like what do you think about credit cards, and what do you think about the cashless forms of payment? And there is a segment of people that say, hey, no, I like cash only. Like that's my behavior. I like to pay with cash. And I mean, we're still away from, I mean, there's still going to be some segment of the population who believes in cash, despite the government's or Bank Negara's push for us to go as cashless as possible.
I mean, it's crazy for people to think that not having a credit card is a bad idea. I mean, of course, you got to think about the fact that some people have zero financial discipline, right? But you must have some comprehension of how credit cards or debit cards work, because it does help you out. I mean, cashback cards, 3% of money.
Yep.
You know, it's, you know, every single purchase you're going to get 3% discount. It's just unbelievable for you to not.
Correct.
And if I'm going to just be spending the same amount every month, I'm going to be spending, let's say, 1,500 for groceries, for instance. I'm still going to spend that amount.
Yeah.
Why not spend it using a credit card? Because you're just going to get that particular discount, get points, go crazy about it.
Yep.
So I don't know. I get frustrated when I think about this, right? But what do you think is the main constraint of people not wanting to use, assuming those people that can have or has the ability to own credit cards? Honestly, why don't they?
If you ask me,
Or debit cards?
Yeah. If for me, if you ask me, it's trust, right? Do I trust in this instrument to pull through, right? And what I mean by that is you're carrying 100 ringgit of cash versus 100 ringgit of this, a perceived 100 ringgit of this plastic right, in my hand, right?
Yeah.
And with cash, I know it's legal tender. People accept it regardless. You know, cash, regardless of what color, is accepted, right? But for a card, and this is not a result of the survey. This is just what we've seen in the past at RinggitPlus, is that there needs to be a lot of trust in the payment instrument. And I believe that trust is growing, not just in credit but also debit cards. As you know, every year Bank Negara comes out with circulation stats, and I think there's over 40 million debit cards out there in circulation. So there is growing trust in these instruments. But for me, I can't understand why you would want to do that, just like yourself, right? Which is, it's far safer, and in terms of trust and security, it's far safer to carry around a piece of plastic that you can call to cancel versus a few hundred ringgit in
Not
cash.
just that. I mean, yes, of course, I acknowledge your point, but it's not just that. Every month I sit down, go through the thing with my wife, discuss, do we really needed that, that particular purchase that we, for whatever reason, I think we're spending too much on this particular grocery place, maybe we should try another place. You know, that kind of stuff where financial decisions can be made. It doesn't have to be formal, it can be done over dinner, where you pull out the email and you can just discuss. I mean, things like that might not have at all any visibility if you use cash, right? Of course, I'm preaching to choir here. But another element is, of course, mobile wallets. A few months ago, I had a forum with Touch and Go Digital, TNG Digital, and it was always about the conversation of how we have too much mobile wallets out there in KL, over 44 mobile wallets in the picture. How do you make sure that people understand that mobile wallets is just another tool that they can use, and on the other element is, how do we narrow down that 44 mobile wallets?
I mean, as with any new technologies, there's, until things get more mature, there will be a lot of competition. And actually, it's good for consumers, right? In a sense, which is the more competition there is among players, the more competitive rates are, or what you call just now discounts and cashback is. So it's probably good for consumers as a whole. But a couple of two trends I see with cashless, right? Which is, or in the e-wallet game, which is, as things get more mature and the industry consolidates, you will see a very small handful of players, just like the banking industry, where many banks, now a lot fewer. Similarly, in the e-wallet game, I see a similar trend. So that's one. And the second, I think it's very important to keep in mind, which is the interoperability of those e-wallets. Right now, it's a lot of closed systems. It's a lot of, hey, I got this wallet, I can pay for things here. I don't think that's the vision for Bank Negara. I think they have a very clear vision for interoperability. What I mean by that is, you have an e-wallet, you can use it wherever.
It's ubiquitous.
And
any merchant, any vendor can pick
exactly.
it up.
I think Bank Negara is already moving both merchants, e-wallet players, and banks in that direction, which is, hey, we want an interoperable framework where, if we're going with QR codes, which seems to be the prevailing method of reconciliating today,
honestly.
we need interoperable QR codes.
That's the more important one.
I think Bank Negara is really pushing that direction, and I'm already seeing banks starting to adopt that, right? Which is
the entire country of China with 1.4 billion population only has 2 mobile wallets. Are we therefore, more liberal than China, or do we really need, Bank Negara to come in, put their feet down and say, you know, enough of this rubbish. Let's just focus on 2 or 3 or 4, not 44.
I know. I think, look, Bank Negara doesn't want to go and say, I want to limit business, right?
Yeah.
I don't want. I want to limit the amount of players. It's, you know, it's a free market. Go and compete. But the one thing that I think, regardless of how many players there are, I think what Bank Negara wants to do, and they're right in my opinion to do this, which is to make sure there's interoperability. You can have 10 players, but just like maps in the bank industry,
yes, of course.
it's a single framework.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you're a bank in Malaysia and you want payment to happen, maps is what you need to use.
Yeah.
Likewise, a common QR framework, if we're using QR codes, a common QR framework needs to happen, and I think Bank Negara is pushing things to happen in that way, which is, I think, is the right thing.
All right, good. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss our financial literacy issues with RinggitPlus. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying on with us. You're watching Notepad. I am with Hann Liew of RinggitPlus. Han, this survey, it's an interesting read, right? But it's, of course, things have to be translated into action. How can we make sense of this particular report? How can we make Malaysians a little bit better in terms of financial literacy? How do we move forward?
For me, like you said, the survey, we've been doing it 2 years running now. We're finding out more and more things about Malaysians' behavior. And you know, we've got to solve the 2 problems, right? Which is 1, literacy is low, and 2, people seem to be in denial about their situation, right? So how do we solve literacy? So the question is, how do we solve the second one, denial? That one's a bit harder because it's just harder to tell people, hey, you're wrong, right? It's the telling people.
Why don't you just go? I do that all the time, and I get scolded. But you know, right. If they're wrong, they're wrong.
Yeah. But for me, it's about making sure we put the business in front of the face and say, hey, you can't say you have a retirement, you don't have enough retirement, and not have a plan. Like, let's do something about it, right? So that's the kind of the harder part to do. But what's easy, I believe, and I think, look, like the government's already started to make sense of doing this, right? Which is the National Strategy for Financial Literacy, 2019 to 2023. That's done by a cohort of government agencies. Obviously, we're in full support of that. Here what we do is, at RinggitPlus, we're already hopefully doing a few steps towards helping that, right? Which is making information more universal, ubiquitous, accessible, right?
Okay.
You say, hey, like if you're not sure what a credit card is, guess what? Because we didn't learn it at school, right?
Nope.
Right? If you're not sure what it is, we're providing information right here.
I learned Pythagoras theorem in school.
Exactly. We don't learn things like credit scores, credit cards, interest rates, income taxes, right? And our role is just to make sure the information's there, available, free, accessible anytime, right?
Yeah.
For any audience.
Credit scoring.
Yeah. For any audience who says, oh, I'm a bit nervous, I don't know about it, and I'm a bit nervous to speak to a very hotshot banker who knows everything.
Yeah.
Can I learn something online? Yes, you can, and that's the part of how we're helping. The other part is also making sure that people choose the right products, right, for themselves. What I mean by that is, if you're somebody who's disciplined and responsible, right, we want to make sure we allow for digital access, right. The worst situation is for you to get missold a product by a human. It's better to educate the customer, consumer, and then allow them digital access. They can take their time, make the decision, go online and do it. So that's on the one part in terms of the kind of digital innovations that we do to make sure we just help in that literacy, in the literacy stakes of in terms of finance. The other part is like collaborations, right? So we did one with Visa, right? And it's only by having these kind of large collaborations with people who really have financial literacy in mind and say, hey, you know what, we're passionate about this. It might help our business, yes, but we're really passionate about this. We're going to solve this. We believe, that's better for Malaysia and also better for us. It's by driving these kind of educational collaborations, not just with the likes of Visa, but also with the media and with the government, with the National Strategy for Financial Literacy.
The Shared Prosperity Program, they have lofty ideals. One of them that I want to pick out is that by 2030, there will be at minimum 5,800 ringgit minimum wage per household income for the B40. If they do what they say, we're looking at 6,000 ringgit for B40. So what, the middle income is like 12,000, we're looking at for T10, T20, we're looking at 20,000, 30,000. Is that a reality for things to move forward?
No, I think if you look at any research done on household income over the last 10 years, what you'll see is a huge increase in not just incomes as a whole, but actually in the B40 segment. So there is a path to getting there. There is a path to a B40 household having a median income of 5,800.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, that's important to aspire to. But more so than aspiration, it's about how we're going to get there. And I won't talk too much about specific policy, right? But for me, like what I say is, it doesn't matter if you're B40, M40, or T20. If you can't manage your money, you're in trouble.
Of course,
right?
exactly.
Right.
I was about to ask you that. So what's the point of earning a median income of 5,800 if you're going to be spending 6,000 ringgit?
Exactly.
So you're always 200 short.
You're always catching yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at one of the pillars, or what you call it, one of the segments of having that more inclusive society, is having a more educated and advanced society when it comes to your money as well, right? And I think that's also in line with the national strategy. But for me, how I see it is we need to have a policy which tracks level of literacy, right, among Malaysians, and have policies which drive that upwards, right? So
this is the best method to track financial literacy, correct?
Correct. So here's an example. If we go from
but there is a lot of cognitive dissonance here. Look, 70% of your survey says that they are in control of money, and the same survey, the one question above it, 90% says that they don't have enough savings to retire.
Yeah.
It's not tallying with each other.
Correct. That's exactly right. So for me, if we say, hey, the confidence level of Malaysians is high, but the reality is low, let's measure the reality.
Yes.
At some point,
and congrats to you guys for not doctoring the thing, because if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And here's an example of where we can see Malaysians going the right direction, which is, it doesn't matter what people tell us, it's good for them to be confident. But if more and more people are telling us, hey, I'm actually able to save more now, that's positive, and we need to measure that over time, over the next 10 years, to say, hey, look, this year, 43% of people say they're not able to save, right? Or they're spending more than they earn, right? If this drops to 20% in the next 10 years, then we've done okay by literacy standards. We've done okay by money management, right? Regardless of where incomes actually end up being, and I hope we go some way towards meeting those targets. But regardless of where they end up being, if we reduce the number of people who are spending more than they earn, right, we've gone some way towards being a better Malaysia, right?
I just want to end with this, right, because the forum that I did with the chief economist of VPF argues that we should be more obsessed about the quality of living / debt levels versus the idea of higher income nation, because if we don't manage our debts accordingly, and if we don't, I guess, don't have enough quality living with the amount of income that we have, that's the real problem that we need to fix.
And I completely agree with that, right? Why do I say that? Because I see the survey has shown that there are problems across the income spectrum. It doesn't matter if you earn 2,000 or 10,000, right? Right. So we need to solve the problem for the entire segment of people, or the entire strata of people, right? Not just, we need to bring B40 up. But if you bring B40 up, but yet they're still spending more than they earn, they're not considered to be, good managers of their money, or having high level of money management or literacy. And we need to solve that also. Not just, I'm not saying low incomes is not a problem.
It is a problem.
I'm saying we need to bring incomes up, but also improve money management, because what we're saying is people with relatively high incomes are still having issues.
It's very hard having an interview with you, because I kind of agree 100% with what you say. I can't challenge you're supposed to do that. But that was my conversation with Hann Liew of RinggitPlus. If you missed any part of this interview, just head on to astro.com, look for Notepad there. You can also watch these interviews on your mobile devices. Just download the Astro AWANI app. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks, man. Sorry about the timing.